3, so no matter who wins game 1, I want them to lose game 2. Let's go.
All right. Well, that's a bit of a... I'm not going to say it's a bit of a prophecy, because it's not a prophecy. You're just hoping. But it would be a pretty bold claim that you think that was going to happen. But we'll see. You know, let's... All right, let's put it this way. Heroic are underdogs in this series. If they come out ahead in this and really run a strong early game, I have seen Tundra with lineups like this completely fall apart. So I think this is one of the better teams for them to be facing with this style of strategy. Tundra just sometimes fall into this trap of picking just flat out, in my opinion, just too greedy. And having too little playmaking potential, being too exploitable in lanes. This is the type of game where that could happen. So if Heroic manages to accomplish that, I think they're actually in a very dominant position, even potentially 15 minutes into this one. However, if it fails and Tundra get to stabilize, their late game is disgusting. So, you know, be careful if you're Heroic to not overstep your boundaries, but push them.
There's a bright side. If everything goes to hell in this early mid game where they're trying to set tempo and they do end up having to contest late, at least you'll have Black Hole, right? One of the best late game spells. And nowadays, this Ursa hero scales pretty decently, unlike he used to. The only problem is going to be Kunkka. Analog is going to be very sad if the game goes late.
Yeah, I'll promise you this much. Analog is not buying Sanjin Yasha, okay? I'll tell you that. I just refuse to believe that he will buy this item in this game. I think Analog is considering whether Radiance is worth buying. You are against a Darkseer wall, and you're against Terrorblade, so you are effectively giving them Radiance. So perhaps this is the type of game where you go the Axe route, so you get Blade Mail into Aghanims, and you play on the massive mid-game Spell Burst. Great against a hero like Terrorblade. You can utilize this build to pivot into control, so you can get like Hex against Storm. You can get the Shard to control the Terrorblade with, to control the Darkseer with. I would love to see that from Analog here rather than just flat-out standard Blade Mail Radiance, because I don't think that's going to be the best item build for the game.
I like that idea a lot. Obviously, him and BZM are just going to be doing nothing against each other in the mid. Very boring. Lots of fun. Top lane. There's some potential here for some shenanigans to take place between the Tinker and the Tiny. Sure. We already see that the Tiny is in the wrong position, but he also knows, right, one, that he could easily be tossed back into the wrong position himself. So I think top lane is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, as soon as Tiny's level 2, this lane gets way more interesting for sure. And he knows that there's Avalanche so far because Schofield has already used it. He's spent the mana, so White Mon is not afraid of tossbacks yet. But when that level 2 comes in, getting tossed back into Eidolons, if you're a hero that cannot fend for itself, can be very quickly be lethal. This is a... When this lane hits level 3 in particular, Tiny Enigma eats Tinker, actually. He can only laser one target, not all of the Eidolons, and Terrorblade can't cleave them. So I think there's definitely some good potential there. In the bot lane, Darkseer Tusk. This is the biggest question mark for me, is actually whether my experience and my knowledge of this matchup still holds up. Because I'm thinking of this from a perspective of previous patch, of like how this type of lane would usually go. But obviously, power dynamics change, and flow of the game changes, itemization changes. But I still do think this is the type of lane that Ench Ursa must be favored in, surely. But by how much?
Yeah. It's actually a good point, right? That as Dota evolves, outside of the big meta changes in draft philosophy, etc., just pure lane mechanics, you know? One patch later, you're just like, why am I so weak? What the hell? Am I just that much worse now? Has everything gone to hell? But yeah, we will see. I'm with you that this should be a resounding victory for Heroic down bottom. But even if it's not resounding, surely you're ahead. I would say it has to be worst case scenario 60-40. Like absolute worst case. Imagine if they die in this lane, bro. Then you can actually just call GG. There's no way you can win.
That's maybe an exaggeration that you can't win, but I would definitely say this is a lane you, on paper, should not lose. I like your 60-40, probably. Maybe as like the lower bound. Because you would imagine that once Ench gets level 3 or level 2 even and starts controlling some creeps and Ursa gets the levels needed to play aggressively, you can do something about it. But, you know, 2 Ion Shells with Tusk, that's a little bit spicy. Darkseer has the, you know, obviously the Facet now, or excuse me, the Innate, where you heal and regen a lot when you level up, which helps in this lane too. And you have the option of doing this. What if you just don't lane? You know? Just go jungle.
But they were prepared for this. The observer what was scouting the
Oh,
bounty.
33,
King
that's
J is
bad.
here.
Oh no, that's so expensive.
Oh no.
I'm not sure if you noticed. I think he will survive. There's no enchant. But what happened here, he got purged twice by the small satyrs. He lost his Ion Shell twice, and it might not sound like the biggest of deals, but losing 200 mana for this hero sucks. So this lane is actually, now that he's returning to lane after farming that camp, he's super weak. And he is definitely going to be unhappy that that was the exact creep he was met with there. The satyrs are usually, for every other hero in the game, the freest camp. Darkseer hates it. It's so funny how little things mean so much sometimes.
The best part about it is that KJ didn't even kill the creep. He left the Satyr. He knows that he might need to access it, the Darkseer at some point in the future.
Yeah.
When 33 goes back, there's going to be like, really? Seriously, bro? You left the Satyr? What the hell, man? What are you doing to me?
That's the right play for sure. Just keep the camp occupied with low value. So Darkseer effectively now is kind of pigeonholed into doing his top right camps. The problem is the ones he has rolled there is one of them has the magic system, the other one is the Warpines. So those are also hard for him to farm, especially until he's level 3. So you can very much so exploit this situation and do exactly this. Yuma is going to force him to surge. King Jungle's not in range for the enchant, but now 33 has to be careful again. They're gonna run them.
I think they're also just happy with burning, having to him use all his spells, put them on cooldown. Level 1 surge cooldown is just disgustingly long.
Yeah.
So he has to play super carefully from here on out for 33. Nice job by Saxa to pull some of that wave towards the camp.
Yeah, they get level 3
doing the
on
Lord's
Darkseer.
work for his team.
So he gets a big heal there. Now they're gonna try to pressure Yuma.
They are indeed. They put him inside the shards right now. Saxa's also taking quite a bit of damage. 2 more hits and he's dead from Yuma. 1. Okay, gets far enough away, but it doesn't really matter. The right click from KJ gets the kill. Yuma will die thereafter. But First Blood still goes the way of Heroic here in this bottom lane.
This is actually a really, really good outcome for Tundra. Like we talked about, if they even get close to a draw here, this should be a great result. And I'm not sure if Yuma made the right call there, jumping as early as he did with Earthshock. Maybe he could have outlasted, just walked, waited for the shards, and then jumped over the shards. But instead he kind of jumped immediately and gave them the possibility to lock him in. Play coming in. Well, who's killing who? Oh, that's a good vacuum. Oh, no, 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 no.
Top lane, they're going for Whitemon. Whitemon's going to end up dead here to these Eidolons with the toss back. The Enigma did die, but bottom, as you said, the fight's still going. Yuma did end up losing his life, and now with the Ion Shells going everywhere, Tundra find a double kill. How is this happening, Cinderman?
Well, he immediately returned to lane with TP and died again. This bottom lane was lost. You can't recover it anymore as Ursa. It is actually just a flat-out lane loss, which is massive. You're almost level 5 on Darkseer. Ursa's level 3.5. He's going to miss this entire wave in the tower. Enchantress can't TP down there either. She's just going to get dove, so she leaves it alone. So effectively, Heroic just lost 2 heroes and 2 waves of creeps in this bot lane with this one play coming out from Tundra's heroes. And now, well, everything you planned for is down the drain in the bot lane.
It gets worse, gang. Not just that whole happening. Top lane, they lost their Enigma. I mean, they were able to claim Whitemon's life, but losing Enigma at this stage, Whisper being the first one to go down in that situation, no experience gained for him when they desperately want this Enigma to be over-leveled in this game. So that's 2 lanes where calamity has occurred, and 1 lane mid where it's just like whatever. But sadly, the mid hero that you have, you know, if my mid is going even, and the rest of my lanes are losing, but my mid is Storm, I feel a lot better than if my mid is Kunkka under these same conditions.
Yeah, especially when your side lane heroes are... It's one thing to lose your side lanes, but it's also about the type of heroes that are losing. If they're snowbally by nature, Kunkka is probably not going to be the hero that brings all the damage to the table that you don't have, but then maybe you would have something else to offer. But Kunkka actually depends on your side lanes dealing the damage. Now that Ursa is playing on the back foot and Enigma is off to a kind of a meh start, there is a possibility that we approach a mid-game where Heroic's entire purpose with the way they drafted their lineup, they're going to have to play delay tactics. And the moment they have to do that, Tundra are already halfway to the goal, right? That's the way their lineup wanted the game to go anyway. So, already a massive, massive win for them. Now, Heroic, they have to get one of the Shrines of Wisdom now. If they don't get either of them, they're in big trouble.
It gets worse. They made a twin gate rotation. Unfortunately, Whitemon was anticipating this exact thing. I was going to say another thing they could maybe do is make these kind of moves, but it's been scouted, and sadly, Okay, they at least get the Tinker. It's gonna be something. Whitemon should end up going down here. But now they need to make sure that they get this tower as well. Like, a rotation this large just for a Tinker, that cannot be sufficient, especially because bottom is going to start getting pressured by 33, skipping these waves, and the creeps just beating onto the tower.
Yeah, this is a mega fat Dark Zero already. Like the build, he's going Helm of the Dominator. He's taking advantage of the changes to this. Enchantress can no longer take it over, right? I believe. So, after it became a creep hero, when you dominate a creep, Ench doesn't have that luxury. Now he can play with this additional Ion Shell in the fight reliably and use it for farming, use it for pressuring waves, kind of play it like a pseudo Beastmaster logic or Lycan logic would with this. Just that Darkseer utilizes it in a very different fashion. Because it's the Ion Shell friend. They already got the tower, like you said.
Get some more gold. Okay, they might be getting more because they're looking for Yuma. Wall has already been dropped down, TP in from Schofield. They also made a rotation with BZM, but he couldn't find yet a clean initiation, but now he zips in. Saxa is in the middle of the fray, getting bailed out though. They're going on to Schofield first. The Tiny's going to be the first one to fall.
Oh, what
Snowball
a snowball.
allows them to all dodge the ultimate from the Kunkka. Beautifully done. There will be a Maleficent out onto the docks here, so 33 should end up falling here. Nice vacuum, insufficient in the end. It ends up being 1-1, but it honestly could have been so much worse for Tundra. God-level Saxa with that snowball, bailing them out of trouble.
Yeah, that was really important to make sure they limit their casualties to just the one. Keep in mind, Heroic brought all 5 heroes to this fight, and they got one singular kill. In the meantime, Tinker is farming mid, and Terrorblade is farming top, so that was a net loss for them for sure. Despite the Darkseer being 3-0, I actually think that was not worth it, the trait that they get. And here's the biggest issue. Schofield is level 3. We're 9 minutes in. This Tiny, how is he gonna find a purpose in this game? This hero with a bad start as a support, I find a lot of the time this hero becomes a liability where you need to farm the dagger, but you're pretty bad at farming. So this is good though. He's stacking both camps. This is one way of gaining himself gold. I think they have to give him a lane. So let's see what they're choosing to do. He's playing mid for the time being at the very least. But yeah, there's a mountain to climb right now.
About to lose their tier 1 in the bottom lane, but BZM doesn't want the tier 1. He wants lives, and he might have scouted Yuma. Doesn't have the foot, doesn't want to zip into him. It is nighttime, so he didn't see him clean. Nice watcher take by KJ to see these heroes, and now they jump KJ himself. Not level 6 at the moment, so there is no untouchable. Yuma also in danger, pops the enrage, but here comes 33 to supply some extra damage. Thankfully, though, with the 2 TPs coming in, it will scare away Tundra. Schofield finds the Avalanche, which opens up for the young X, marks the spot onto BZM. Does still have enough mana to zip away, but now he's out of mana, and BZM, he's gonna get caught, he's going to get killed. Analog able to get his cut of flesh. Whisper looking for more on the far side, wanting to find a Maleficent or a black hole. Sadly, these heroes too far away, the spell is still on cooldown, so they'll just have to content themselves with the Storm Spirit kill.
That's a pretty cool... You know, this is a high skill interaction about how players read each other. X marks the spot is one of the coolest spells in the game for that reason, because it becomes a mind game of its own. BZM went for a long zip because he thought Analog was pulling him back in the X mark, and he just let it run max duration. And what ends up happening is BZM burns so much mana trying to dodge the X with his invulnerability that when he then gets pulled back, he doesn't have enough mana to jump out again. However, if he hadn't jumped at all and just been pulled back into a combo, he would have died on the spot. So you're kind of guessing, you're playing a guessing game, and BZM just got outbrained there by Analog, doing the very basic thing of absolutely nothing. That was the best play in that situation, but yeah, you gotta really try to pay attention. It's hard to watch the enemy heroes at all times as well, right? If you're seeing Kunkka animating, you don't know if he's necessarily faking it unless you keep close attention to the mana, or maybe he's in fog, then you don't even know. So yeah, it's a lot going on.
Like they say in Avatar: The Last Airbender, sometimes you must master negative Jin. Just do nothing.
Yep.
And you'll find some really good results.
It's the best play a lot of the time to do the obvious thing. It's fun. I don't know if you remember this, but it's a clip I still reference sometimes where Sing Sing is complaining when he's playing Mirana that he can't hit arrows on pub players because they just run in a straight line. And he hits them on the pros all the time because they're trying to juke and he's counteracting them, right? So that really is true for a lot of situations in Dota, that sometimes the obvious thing becomes good.
You can out-mind game yourself all the time.
Absolutely. All right, this is a big potential move here from Tundra. They're smoked up, looking for an angle in mid onto Analog. It's pretty tanky though. Blade Mail activated. I think this play is
He was actually playing that very nicely.
Yeah, very nicely.
He was shimmying around. He knew that something was going to happen. They had Whisper already, you know, prepared to come in for the counterplay. Nice move by Heroic there. They don't actually suffer anything. Yes, there's some time lost on these heroes, but Yuma didn't show up, so he's still farming. Schofield is next to him, so some experience is going towards the Tiny. And they defended the tier 1 tower, forced out a Darkseer wall. This is good stuff.
KJ just enchanted 33 Centaur crit. He's like, what the hell? Why did I not have this? I don't know if he was just trying to slow it down or if it had an Iron Chill on it or whatever, if he was genuinely thinking he could get it. Sometimes muscle memory dies hard on heroes like Ench. This is the first time in Dota history that you can't take over that creep, right? So if you've played this hero 120 times and you're used to this being part of your kit, it might be a little bit of a slow transition here. Kind of funny to see
Also not
that.
like he's been playing this hero a lot lately, right? It's become a lot more... Actually, when was the last time you played it? I want to go check.
Yeah, it's
A
probably
month
been-
ago.
Yeah. So he hasn't played in a pro game since the patch that made it a creep hero, right?
Yeah, I don't think so, no. Okay.
Must be nice being
See if we can
Chrysalis.
shake off that rust. X back.
This is fun.
On to Saxa. Nice one. Dude, Chrysalis, honestly, I've become accustomed, right? If I see Chrysalis playing Terrorblade, right, I don't even think about him for like 20 minutes of the game. It's like whatever, do your thing.
That's a good position to be in if you don't have to call his name for 20 minutes. Then you're a happy Terrorblade. If nobody is putting any pressure on you, nothing is happening near you, and you just get to do this, just farm 2 camps at once, non-stop. And that said, he's still not even remotely close to being top net worth in his team. That belongs to 33. He's massive. He's got Helm of the Overlord minute 13. This is like premier Beastmaster tier farm. He's just going to continue to scale, now opting to look for a Shiva's Guard next. We'll take the Ancient Black Dragon with him. So they saved that for him.
Looks like they might want to apply some pressure towards the mid lane.
Yeah.
That tower would be nice to get brought down, but they do need a bit more vision before it's safe to do so. They don't know where these other heroes are at. They especially don't know where this Enigma is at. Whisper's also been off map for like the last 2 minutes, so it's kind of hard to make a push not knowing where the Enigma is.
I think we've already reached the point that we were worried about for Heroic, right? Where the early game doesn't go well and Tundra just gets to farm. I don't think at this point that Heroic are going to put pressure with their Ench, and they're not going to put pressure with their Ursa. So now we're looking at plan B. When do you get to do that? What's the item that enables it? Ursa goes Battle Fury, he has to, so he can scale. And now he's going to go Blink BKB, very standard stuff. Ench is going for the Shard, it looks like, as her first purchase, so not too surprised to see that either. But then, how does this Blink Drums Enigma function if you're not playing offense? You're gonna go for the BKB. Maybe you get BKB and then you fight, and you actually just farm into it? Perhaps it's the idea. It's gonna cost you a Tormentor.
I think they're locked behind the Blink Dagger for the Tiny. Like, Schofield is
Yeah.
700 gold away from having this item. I don't think you can actually do anything realistically before this arrives, because they'll have Saxa that he doesn't need a Blink Dagger to still have impact in the fight, but you as Tiny absolutely need one. So any fight you go for right now kind of feels 4 versus 5 until you have this item.
Yeah, I could see it. But even with
Top lane.
even with the dagger, I'm not certain. This will be a nice pick.
Try get a quick kill. Okay, give the kill to Schofield if you can.
He
needs
is
the
not
gold.
dead yet. Okay. If he used his wand, they might have had to black hole him. He actually only used the Lotus. So maybe a little bit of a misclick there, not using both to try to escape. But it's one support kill. It's not the end of the world. And they, like we already established, there's no Tormentor. So they're just going to gate to bottom and try to find a fight, I'm guessing? Maybe they're... Well, they're not going to find anyone down here yet. Maybe 33 will walk into them. That would be good news for the side of Heroic. And he'll actually do just that, not anticipating this gank at all. Beautiful stuff. Does not
Thanks,
get off the
33.
back. Now that's
Shout out to you, man. You wanted to make the game more entertaining for us. We appreciate it. Now Schofield has a blink, and we can do stuff on the map. 33, stand-up guy, I tell you.
That's honestly, that's a really, really good play from Heroic that I thought was not going to work, but it's obviously easy for us to call with our vision. But that was not an obvious move coming the way of Tundra. So 33, you could see he was even surging through the jungle. He felt so safe. that he could just go to the next wave. So they just flat out read the movements well on Heroic and are rewarded with a very big kill and potentially the Roche. They might have the Ursa, so this is honestly possibly the best last minute that Heroic could have played. This is really, really nice.
I just realized something. The reason why Doxia died there, he actually had a Black Dragon top just after the play that killed the Tusk. And I thought he saw them smoking because the Black Dragon was by the Twin Gate, but it was nighttime. So he was just shy of the vision to actually see it happening. If the Black Dragon was there 1 second earlier, he doesn't die. KJ though, sadly, I think you're dead no matter what, my friend. Eye shots, all hold him in position. There's the Walrus Punch, and my man is gone.
This is still, again, it's very important for Heroic that they get something going their way. Imagine this last 2-minute sequence going Tundra's way, how locked down the map would feel. Now you think you have an angle. You're close to Ursa BKB. You're close to Enigma BKB. Tundra will still claim the mid-tier 1 tower. I think this was inevitable. It was going to happen. But if you buy enough time now, there is actually the win condition of finding a big fight around the end of your Aegis timing, because it will overlap with your 2 BKBs if you don't get ganked. Speaking of getting ganked, Schofield with a good blink. But he's not getting it.
It's gone for sure. This is always going to take a while. I remember it was SVG, I think it was, that was like, if you chase Schofield, be prepared to commit at least double the time you think it will. Always just goes everywhere. I mean, even that definitely took them slightly longer than they thought, but they still find the kill.
Now it's time to answer our question about Analog. Is it time to commit for that Radiance or not? Like I was saying early in the game, I thought he wasn't going to go for it, considering he's against Darkseer and Terrorblade, but he still has it in his quick buy. So, since he hasn't bought the Relic yet, is he playing with the idea of a secondary item, or is he buying it now and then fully committing?
He can't really access the secret shop. Saxa has got that completely locked down as they push the tier 1 tower top. So, maybe this is going to give him a moment or two more to consider the position that he's in and think how badly they need this. But he still has it queued up. Are they going to re-engage for this? Ursa's being gone on. There's a Darkseer wall onto him and Schofield, and now in comes in PZM. The Storm Spirit is putting in the damage onto Schofield. The Black Hole, it catches the Storm, but it gets cancelled so quickly. Now they need to get out of here. The boat from Analog, though, will buy some additional time. Crashing onto these heroes. Ursa returning now for life number 2. Doesn't have his BKB ready just yet, so he needs to get out of here. PZM has put in a lot of pressure. Now wants to finish off Analog. They had him blocked in, and now they have him killed off. And PCM still hunting for blood. Going further forward, fighting KJ by the tier 2 tower. Now, though, the turnaround is going to be there very quickly on top of him. Zaxa could not save him in time. Storm Spirit is down, but with the Ion Shells going everywhere, these heroes are still falling. They buy back on the Kunkka to try and turn this fight around. Yuma on the high ground gets brought down eventually by Zaxa with the full chase. And Analog, although he just brought back, the Ion Shell on the Ancient Shaman almost killed Ensign. Barely survives to get back inside the base to safety. Ends up being a 2-for-1 affair, one of whom being a buyback from Heroic, and ultimately a disaster. And it's not even over. They're going for Schofield in the mid lane. Here comes the Tinker TP. They found Schofield. Crystallis still has a couple of moments of the meta remaining. And oh, what do you know? It's 20 minutes. Guess who's emerged from the jungle? Good old Crystallis here to put in the damage.
Honestly, the craziest thing about that fight is how late he showed up and Tundra were still winning that. Like he showed up when the fight was almost over on Terrorblade and popped meta. I think that was after the Kunkka buyback even came through. So Tundra weren't even at full strength there. But to mention, the Black Hole got insta-cancelled, and that's just... It just wasn't good enough from Heroic in that instance, and now it gets really tricky, because you're going to have these multiple defense matrices running down mid. You don't have Black Hole for a minute and a half. 33 trying for Q back and didn't get it. But the best case scenario now for Heroic is that Tundra just control the map. The worst case scenario is that they find more than that. But you know for the next minute that this top tower is probably going down to Crystallis' Terrorblade. You're pushing out all the lanes with the Tinker and the Storm relatively safely, knowing they don't have to worry about the Black Hole. So you need to buy enough time for this BKB to come through, and I'm promising you, this next fight, if the Black Hole is not good, they are in massive trouble. So all eyes on Whisper. He has to come up big now in the upcoming engagement.
So in the previous fight, we did see a couple of defense matrices posing problems. So I have a question, right? For Analog, instead of going Radiant, which he's still considering, if he had to, let's say Radiant was off the table, right? Between BKB and Nullifier, what do you think? Do you go defense to try and stay alive, or could you go Nullifier to try and get rid of the defense matrix before the Ursa has the opportunity to buy that item?
He is actually changing to Nullifier, so you have your answer. I liked Axe, still, even now in this game state, but maybe it's too optimistic to go for an Axe at this point. I think it's very difficult for his hero against the lineup that he's facing to stay in. That's my concern here is, yeah, you get the Nullifier against Defense Matrix against Search. It is a great item, without question. It is a very good Nullifier game. But I don't know if you get the luxury of just going in and casting it versus playing the ranged artillery type Kunkka. Because, yeah, now you have this Nullifier, but you don't have buyback. If you get jumped, I think you don't get out of trouble. Well, we'll see. Maybe this is what they need. Maybe they felt like they couldn't kill the heroes. We also still have Enchant, you know? They already do have one Dispel to play around with. And now they have the 2. This is a big moment for them with the smoke. They're hoping to find a fight for their Enigma.
This would be perfect. Crystallis is by himself. The team's not with him. They're gonna get him. They solo Black Hole for it, but hashtag worth, baby. You find the Terrorblade. Somehow still not the most farmed hero on the map, but an extremely value kill. Enchantress also picks up a Terrorblade illusion to boot, so you definitely gonna push this wave out down bottom.
Yeah, doesn't get to hit anything with it though, because Yumo is faster, but it's the thought that counts. Yeah, it's a very good pick for sure to kill the enemy carry, but ideally you're hoping for a bit more than that with your big first blink BKB Black Hole there. As yeah, you kill the carry, but you're not progressing the game. The waves are still pushed in. This is how you play again. That's Tinker and Storm in a nutshell, right? You're gonna have to deal with waves all the time. Now Analog is not getting killed off here. He does not have buyback. This would be a massive find.
They have the follow-up. Analog Blade Mail active. There's the wall. He does throw out the boat, so the Coco Rum will buy him some time for now. But he needs some help to get out of here. Analog falling low, getting dragged back in with the vacuum, but it's not enough. At the same time, though, KJ might not have a way back in the base. The force off is not complete on the Enchantress, so she's going to end up falling. Well, Tundra will settle for that because they can still pressure the tower as long as it's 4 versus 5. So they might have to have a buyback be necessary from Heroic.
This is the problem when the Black Hole's down. What do? You know, you used it to kill the Terrorblade, but you didn't manage to push out the waves and progress the game, so now they can just go straight high.
And Schofield, if they can kill him, they remove a big threat. There's no repositioning now without this Tiny being alive. He can buy back if necessary. Jump forward, BZN gets the silence out onto this Enigma. Enigma's gonna die! No time to get off the BKB, just got in the blink of an eye.
Heroic are just getting crushed, actually, in this. This is not even remotely over yet, in terms of the push, not the game, I mean. They're not going back. This will be at least the mid lane, maybe more.
Tinker constantly going to and fro, giving them defense matrices, having this march the machines. So mid lane should be finished off after they make sure that they secure top. And once everybody's respawned, we still have another 40 seconds before the Black Hole is alive. KJ forced into the base. So that's going to secure the top laner X. Storm Spirit goes back to secure mid. So just 2 sets just like that. And that was off of what? 1 pick off middle? Led to this? What the hell?
Yeah. Black Hole not being ready. What do Heroic have? We talked about it earlier in this game. You get to this mid-game stage, where's the damage? Ursa needs to get online. Kunkka just doesn't hit that hard from the mid lane. So if your big offlaner isn't finding the big play, you get the 1 Terrorblade kill with the Black Hole. Tundra say, okay. As soon as he respawns, we're running straight down mid. What are you guys gonna do? They keep themselves alive with the mech, with the Holy Locket, with the Vortex, or excuse me, Matrixes, with the March. And right now, if they find Whisper again, the game is actually over. So Whisper has to be very careful now. And he, not to sound like a broken record, has to come up big. 1 hero Black Hole will not win this game anymore.
One at the forefront right now is Analog. He is standing there, but they actually smoked themselves on Heroic, so they're going to go for a backstab maneuver here. They think that they're playing the game at a normal pace. The way things are going is not going to net them the W, so you need to get creative. And they're going for Roche at the moment, Tundra. At the very least, posturing like they're doing so. Heroic, can they catch them is the question. Might be too late. These March the Machines are going to make the approach so difficult. It actually cancels the blink. He didn't get the blink off in time. Schofield now on the low ground. He's gonna find himself silenced, losing a lot of health, and now he's just dead. 4 versus 5 all of a sudden. Heroic needs to run away from here. Eye shots doesn't catch onto Yuma, but it does zone him back. They have good vision now.
His Overlord.
I don't know how you keep taking this fight. Yeah.
As long as they see Whisper, anything on Whisper, and they can't take the fight there. Oh, he gets in.
Okay. Blink Black Hole onto 2. It's Doxy and the Terrorblade. But where is the follow-up damage? There it is. Analog throwing in the boat. But Yuma not allowed to just stand there and hit. Finally, he's able to activate the BKB, trying to get himself onto Crystallis. But Crystallis, with the Walrus Punch, putting the bear in the air, they have the right-click damage. They get the kill. They were looking for another. They don't even need it. Although he TPs to safety, the game itself is over. GG, well played is called. Tundra Esports take game number 1 after turning a sliver of an opportunity into a guaranteed victory.
What is your catch for Storm? Who's stopping BZM from just totally popping off this game? They have nothing. They have an X mark. Last game they had an X mark and a secondary stun. This time they don't even have the secondary stun. So that is the challenge here. I think everything else I can easily see Heroic structuring fights and finding moments of opportunities to deal with. But the Storm is a problem, and he's got Slark giving him vision. And lest we forget, Soxa is 100% win rate on this hero all time, as we just found out, and I bet Tundra doesn't know. So,
well, there's one thing that, okay, Crystallis might know this. Guess how many games of Bloodseeker this man has played in his career?
Crystallis? Pro games?
Yep.
50.
50?
Yeah.
Not even close. 127 games with a 62.2% win rate.
Who plays Bloodseeker more than 50 times in their career? Apart from this guy. He's... I wonder how many players in the world have over 100 games of Bloodseeker in Pro Dota. I would think it's less.
Now you're giving me homework. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll go research. I'll go find out.
All right. I'll play by play in the meantime. Sox is in trouble. He's gonna get disrupted. I actually don't know if he's in trouble. Let's see. All right, nice body blocks. Analog, cutting him off. Still body blocking. Schofield looking. Okay, he's still not skilling on Jakiro. There's the dual breath. There's the pounce. So he will get out.
All right. That's something. That Dota's taking long to load, so I'm back for now. The site drops from time. It always does this. Only during a pro game does that Dota not work. Only when you're casting. When you're watching
Only
from
when
home.
you need it.
It's the fastest website in the world, man.
KJ, uh-oh, he was not expecting this. Oh. He's gonna get the R. He is so dead.
Oh! One more right click. Yeah,
for Whitemon. Whitemon is a boss on this hero, by the way. My favorite player to watch on Ringmaster. This guy and Save are both incredible at it. N9 class, of course. And Ducalis. And yeah, well, it seems like every team that's just really good right now is good at Ringmaster. But Whitemon was the OG for me of watching Pro Dota master this hero. And it's fun to say OG. It's like a month ago, right? It's very new that this is in Pro. But Whitemon really impressed me early on.
Whitemon's a goat, honestly. I think like Whitemon is on the list of my players that have become... He was always very good, but he became world class in the last like year and a half. The evolution he's gone through has just been... Since he left NA, honestly, his evolution has been incredible.
There's probably something to be learned for that. Maybe. Well, he also left SA. There's probably also something to be learned there, actually. So yeah, good on him. All it takes to become world class in this game is travel.
Yes. So, number 2
stay at home. Yeah.
on the list of most played Bloodseekers is K1 Hector with 54 games played, and then number 3 is Skeeter with 51.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
So my 50 guess was actually pretty, like, you know, it makes sense for everyone else but Crystallis. How does he have twice as many games on the hero of anyone else in the world? That's insane.
That's Bloodseeker, man.
That's crazy in a pro scope. He's also not, you know, it would be one thing if he was somebody who played pro from back at TI1, right? Yeah, but it's within the span of time that he has played it as well. It's actually quite remarkable.
Does lose his courier at the top though, so we're gonna have to use those Bloodseeker skills to the maximum to make sure that he gets as much farm as possible. They're actually gonna maybe put just a couple right clicks onto Schofield. They drop the blood right. They want this kill. He's silenced. Crystallis gonna try and chase him. The Mud Golem's doing their thing. They're not gonna be there to help with the deny. Schofield gonna try go back with the dual breath. Can he do it? No, he cannot. Crystallis, too practiced at the hero, knows how to secure the kill and sets him up to get the first kill of the game for him. Nice.
It's going to cost him a couple creeps on the tower, but probably worth it. One of them was a flag bearer, but still, the Jakiro kill has to count for more than 3 CS, so... And I believe Whitemon was getting the experience too, so they didn't lose that. This is going to cost them a Lotus, but... Now it remains to be seen how this 4 Jakiro, we didn't talk too much about that. Rather uncharacteristic role for the hero that it's not the 5. How this is going to play out, but big pressure onto Crystallis now. Does very well together with Cinder Brew.
He's going to be okay. He's fine. Wait, is that why you like Brewmaster? Because it has your name in the hero kit?
That's right. That's it. I got nothing. You got me. You figured it out.
Syndrome hates it if you figure out this one secret.
That's right. Now that you found out, good on you, but don't tell anyone. That's why I like Brewmasters, because of the name of that spell.
It's just between us and the 10,000 people watching.
Yeah. No one will know.
So I just realized something about putting this, why it's actually so decent to have the slot here. The small thing is not really having a fun time here. He just gets hit twice and he just feels so lackluster very quickly after he eats some essence shift. And obviously he can't like go super gung-ho in the opposite direction because then he just can't last it against 33. Schofield is about to die here. Whitemon thought it was already done, so he was backing off for a moment, but he'll come back just to make sure. Actually turned out he wasn't even needed, so BZM is like, why are you griefing my experience, brother? Don't do this.
Yeah, BZM is also going to get the bounty rune here, so we'll immediately be up to pretty good resources, and this is another solid early game now for the side of Tundra. And I like your point about the bot lane, because a lot of the time it's a little bit overlooked just how good Essence Shift is in specific matchups. We obviously know it's a big part of Slark's laning, but there are certain heroes that really suffer against it. And Morphling has to be very high up that list. Very much depends on attributes to make the lane work. And if Soxa keeps him busy, they don't need to kill the Morph. They don't need to even threaten him that much with, you know, lethal damage. They just need to prevent him from CSing. And suddenly you've got 33 on the Sand King, almost level 5, minute 5, 32 and 3. So just crushing his lane against Morph as Sand King. And remember, this Morphling was a direct pick into the SK. So you chose this. And now this is what you're getting from it. I think 33 is very satisfied with how this is going so far. Even has the confidence now to cut wave.
What are they going to do? They know that the Shadow Demon is mid. They're actually making a play onto BZM.
He just got 6 just now.
Disrupt him. Torrent will connect onto him, but he is fine.
Yeah. Literally got 6 right before he got disrupted, or he would have died there.
Dota 2, always a game of margins. This one, not favorable for Heroic. And this kind of sucks, right? They had to make a move with the Shadow Demon. So Yuma was forced to play very carefully underneath his Huon Tower. No adventure being made down bottom. That's given space for them to just, you know, have Soxa stack up some camps. They're going to be ready with the farm later. Oh, man. Oh, he actually didn't stack anything. Never mind. Wait, what was Soxa doing in the triangle? I saw him there for a while. No stacks, unfortunately.
He might have been dewarding.
Oh, that's true. Whisper's gonna make it out of this one. He's still alive. Analog came in to help him out. They actually drop a boat. The Coco Ram will make sure that this brew does not die. And Crystallis, you will end up taking a tumble. Whisper gets the kill, no less. Beautiful work coming in from that rotation.
Yeah, they need something to go right now for Heroic. So it's good for them to find a pickup here. Getting Whisper to a faster 6 is pretty meaningful. I think it's, you know, it was their overall last pick of the draft. They have a clear plan in mind for what it's going to contribute down the stretch here. And Brewmaster before level 6, in some lane matchups, very good. In this one, it's been alright. But as soon as that 6 comes out, they would love to probably go for another play up top, kill the Bloodseeker a second time, and then take the tower. And you're unlocking that play with the first gank. We'll see if that can all come together soon. Whisper is cracking 6 now. So it's going to feel very safe.
Big level 6s are available on the map with the exception of the Rupture. Crystallis about to pick that one up, but don't expect to see him deploy it too soon. When they start to make moves with BZM, do they go bottom right and then try to leverage the power of the Sand King, get a kill, cut the waves, and then take the tower?
This is a bit of an awkward draft because the carry is Bloodseeker, right? So I think I don't think you're in any hurry. I think if all the cores are farming, you don't mind trading. Because your mid game is incredible. You want Slark to hit level 6. You want to get your Sand King to his first major item. Or at the very least a Blink. So I don't foresee a rotation for BZM anytime soon. I think on the flip side, it's going to be Heroic trying to put some pressure and remove towers from the map with their Brewmaster. The mid move did not bear any fruit.
Go towards top, get the D-ward. Schofield understands why that move failed. So he'll stick around, get some experience. He's struggling a little bit. It's level 3, but just these camps will get him to level 4. And they haven't taken that much damage on their buildings, right? They still have relatively a lot of the map to play. We haven't seen any big moves from BZM. Like you said, he's comfortable farming. So Heroic probably not feeling anywhere near under as much pressure as they did in Game 1.
Yeah, it's fair. In Game 1, their lineup was way more reliant on this phase going better. And this time around, they're also not winning the early game, but there's more leeway for recovery, and there's more leeway for... there's more ways of fighting. In Game 1, it felt very pigeonholed onto the Enigma very fast. This time around, different players can make big plays that can change the game. So, yeah, for sure. It's definitely more in the wheelhouse of stability here for Heroic. But they would I still think you would love to activate Brewmaster a little bit. You don't have to force fights non-stop, but when Split is available for 2 minutes straight and you're not casting it in the early game, generally means either you're missing a moment of opportunity or that it wasn't the right pick. Just want to put it to use immediately. BZM will TP top, as a matter of fact, onto Whisper. They're going to pop everything.
For the ultimate. Yes, they can. Of course. Blood Right, Rupture, Wheel of Wonder, half the mana pool from the Storm. And the crazy part is, bro, if KJ was there, they actually could have turned that fight. That's insane.
Yeah. It's very easy to set up Wheel of Wonder for Storm, because when you're vortexing people, you're pulling them towards Storm, so you're coming closer to the Ringmaster. And all he needs to do is chain a Tame the Beasts onto... he just needs to throw out the ring as soon as the Vortex goes out, and then he chains Tame the Beasts onto where the Vortex is ending, and that's a kill. So as you said, Shadow Demon needs to cover, but he doesn't know where the move is coming, so he was protecting mid, which could have also been an avenue of engagement from Tundra. But they opted to go for the probably least likely target in a way, in Whisper. It worked out well.
Speaking of Whisper, he is opting to go for the Radiance, of course, on his Brewmaster. So now we yet again have the question for Analog. What is he going to build? Down bottom, Yuma went into the slog for, wanted to chase him, but the tier 1 tower will provide respite for the Fishman. So he's A-OK. And top lane, the rest of Heroic are like, right, now that we know where Slog is at, let's just go push, take down this tier 1 tower for ourselves.
Yep, this is what we're expecting. They're not going to split for it even. They don't need to. But they do need to defend. So Analog will TP mid to do just that. I think Tundra just concede this. It's okay. I really like the choice of not defending this. I think the risk-reward wasn't worth it. Your Slark isn't online yet. You're playing into Heroic's hand. Just do other aggressive stuff on the map instead. They will start onto Yuma. 33. Is
actually taking way too much damage. He's almost dead. They zip in eventually from BZM with the Wheel of Wonder. Is it enough? KJ, where you at? Nowhere nearby. So Morphling will be the first one that gets popped by somehow. You want to chase for more? Eventually, the ultimate from KJ will help them kill off 33 on the side. But damn, came so close to maybe keeping them off alive. Analog drops the boat, but BZM able to zip away. Oh no. X marks the spot. At least will be there onto Whitemon, so they should be able to content themselves, perhaps with their Ringmaster kill, and they will indeed gain it. At the same time, down bottom, they lose Saxa. So despite failing to kill the Storm there, 3 for 1, that's a trade you'll take given how things have been going today.
Yeah, that was actually a really surprisingly good outcome for Heroic. I thought 33 was going to survive when he got Strongman tonicked, but they just had enough damage with the Purge. And with Analog missing his entire combo when he came in there on the Disruption, them still finding all the other kills is definitely a very good result there. Now, Saxa cracked 6, so this is when things get scarier. The Force will get out up top as well. Wait, did they just... 33 just soloed Yuma.
Wait, how?
He didn't
okay.
Epi. Wait.
Okay. Can we have a replay on that? I was watching the other side of the
Wait, I
map.
actually don't understand how he died.
I don't understand. We need to see that again. That was... Okay. Huh? Are they tipping KJ because he wasn't close enough for the disruption?
I mean, maybe. I would get it if he epi, but he just killed Morph with Burrow Strike.
Must have been on very low strength at the time.
I mean, there was an assist for Ringmaster, right? I think.
Gonna suffer the first big gank from Whisper. Analog is here as well. They get Crystallis. The question is, can they keep this going? Probably not. Also, you were asking earlier for what's your solution to Storm Spirit. Analog has a pseudo solution in this Orchid Malevolence. Yeah. All right, let's see. So, Burrow Strike, long zip. Okay.
Oh, it was with Storm. Oh, I thought it was with Ringmaster. Okay, this makes a lot more sense now. It was like, how did they kill him with just Sand King and Ringmaster when he was playing on 900 HP? But there you go. That was BZM. Yep, that's always going to be a danger that you need to prepare for as Morphling. That threat will always be there. Any instant stun into Storm, big ball lightning is big damage.
You want to get big damage out onto the Sand King.
33.
He's gone. Orchid, Ice Path, dual breath, right clicks. Right. I must say, this game, although they haven't necessarily been pushing the envelope all that much, they've gotten the tier 1 mid, they've gotten the tier 1 top, they're threatening bottom, they haven't lost a single tower of their own. And, you know, unlike in the previous game where scaling just felt like a really bad thing for you, you the one under pressure, this time around you've got Morphling. He's still probably chilling, scaling into the late game.
Yeah, I definitely think Heroic's lineup can win this game even down the stretch. Unfortunately for them, just now they do lose both Wisdom Shrines, but they take bot tier 1. And it's not the 7-minute Wisdom Shrine. That's the most important one in the entire game. The 14-minute is probably the second most important, but it's more manageable. Your supports do have level 8, so not the biggest of deals to lose both here compared to if you don't get a 6 and can't make moves on key old heroes. Now Tundra, after suffering a little bit of loss down their bottom, they are going to try to go on the offensive. Look at Yuma's position. He's super defensive. They're anticipating this play. Heroic are super ready. Or, wait,
to them last
he
time.
canceled his epi.
He jumps in looking for KJ, but there's going to be a disruption. KJ survives for now. Like you said, cancelled epi. 33 is now silenced up. They do manage to kill KJ, but with the drag back on the X marks the spot, 33 is dead as well. Look at Whisper. Storm Panda hurls a boulder onto Whitemon. Gonna try and stay alive, but there's absolutely no way out, brother. 2 for 1. Let's see if they can find further chase. They have vision on the Lotus Pool. They see the slug if he wanders there. So Soxa's actually not that safe. They're pinging him out right now. There's the silence. There's the X. He did not get the Dark Pact off, so he's probably gonna die himself. 3 for 1 plus a Tormentor. Heroic in the last 2 minutes have leveled up massively, Sin.
Yeah, they're bringing the numbers. That was a flat out 5-on-4. Crystal is nowhere to be seen. He's just farming jungle, Terrorblade style. But this time he's Bloodseeker, and that is different. Oh, that's a nice find too. They get the demonic cleanse here on the Shadow Demon, so a little bit of a potential heal, potential counterplay against any offensive items that might be coming their way eventually. Yeah, this is really good news for Heroic. And it looked like 33 was channeling the Epicenter, and then he canceled it, and then he blink stunned the Morphling. So effectively, he went for a blink stun that they couldn't follow up on and completely compromised his own position. And Heroic, they're going to immediately just capitalize on that and kill the Sand King on the spot. When you're playing this offensive of an item build on Sand King, you're not that tanky compared to if you have like a Pipe or Crimson or whatever. Uh-oh, Schofield. Classic Schofield fashion. Will push a side lane until it's too much. There's a Radiance. 15 minutes, or 16 minutes in, excuse me, for Whisper. Earn Radiance. Pretty solid. Not the fastest, but definitely still good enough.
They still have all their tier 1s as well. We obviously saw the influence of having so much map control being displayed bottom. Saxa is trying to de-ward the area, but he does have one more sentry. He needs to try and guess exactly which direction, but they're pinging it out now, but KJ, he's there first. They want to try and catch him. Timing. There's a disruption. Can they find him? Saxa does force himself into the ultimate with the Shadow Dance, but they will ensure that their ward will remain a little bit longer.
It's an interesting dynamic between SD and Slark. If Kunkka is nearby, if you Dark Pact during disruption, you die. Because when you come out, you can just get hit by, you know, any of Kunkka's spells plus Orchid. You need to do a perfect pounce as you exit before you get hit by anything. So that time around it worked out for Soxa. But it's definitely a threatening play nonetheless. We'll be doing the standard 9 class build here of going Yules and Shard. See the order. I think he was hoping to not have to buy the Shard, but they didn't get the Tormentor, so I'm assuming he's going to upgrade this in his priority list rather than finish the Yules. This is the one you save your allies with, and that is obviously more valuable than saving yourself when you're playing support. So I reckon he'll buy the Shard right now.
So surprising to me that we're in an era of time where a standard stock build, quote unquote, will be Yule's Shard as your first 2 items.
Yeah.
How the game has evolved.
Dota is interesting like that. Oh, he's buying the Yules first. Okay. Alright. It's better for farming. If he thinks the game is slowing down and he can just keep playing jungle, it gives him other utility, of course, offensively. And defensively, it's better for him than the Shard is because he counters the Orchid with this. So he can stay alive now against some of the counter plays. So I don't mind it, as long as he gets both. Whatever he thinks is more important the next 3 minutes is the one he should buy first. And that seems to be the Yules this time around.
What's important for Heroic is Roshan, as they're trying to claim the first Aegis of the game. Tundra did have quite a lot of vision in this area, and they did see everybody from Heroic here, so it's not too much of a stretch to envision it's happening. Oh no, they scanned bottom. They thought there was going to be some twin gate wrap, but no, they're just going for Roshan. They are going to be able to claim it.
Huh. Yeah, green scan, and they still go through the gate. Just alright. Well, remember what we said last game? Sometimes the simple play is the best. The obvious play. And Tundra might have thought Heroic were up to something bigger, or they just didn't feel like they could contest the pit. But I do think they had a shot at that if they had an idea. Bloodright's amazing there. Sand King's amazing there. Slark Vision. But alas, it will be a Heroic Roche. What? Whisper forced to ult?
It's fine. As Ultimate forced into it, the question is, can they catch anybody here, right, Mon? He might be the one caught. Oh no, guess who's coming from the twin gate? It's Yuma. Wheel of Wonder is thrown out, but will really not make any difference. Oh, that's a free kill, but thankfully he did give vision so his team can dodge. I say that, but Sand King! Oh no! Deja vu yet again, Cinderman. This is exactly the spot he got caught on the last engagement. Literally the exact place. Dies again, and they still protect their tier 1 tower.
Yeah, they just keep finding kills every time Tundra tries to go for this tower. Heroic show up with the numbers and defend it. And again, we need Bloodseeker to show up before we can truly gauge Tundra's power level in this game, because Crystallis has done basically nothing except farming and playing his lane. And this might just be the read they have on this hero. I mean, I will never question Crystallis on this hero, as we've established earlier. He is the most games played on this in Pro Dota by more than 100% over the second most. So he should know in any given patch what the idea is, and seems like in this patch you go Mjolnir, BKB, and then you join. And until then, you're hitting creeps and not joining fights in a game like this. So
trade-off is how much farm the enemy team is getting as well, and the rest of Tundra, they want to try and ameliorate that fact that they smoke up with 3. Whisper is in front of them. Doesn't have the Brewmaster ult for another 35 seconds. Still a difficult kill, even without this. BZM doesn't have good vision, so zipping onto him when he's that close to a tier 1 does feel difficult. He did not head towards a triangle. They really want this kill, but Whisper making it so hard for them. He's gonna collect the shrine. Are they gonna get there in time? No, it's too late. It's too late. We've wasted all our time. Oh no, it's not too late. He went back. He went back, Cinderin. Why did he go back?
I think they just caught a glimpse of him by running up high ground in the smoke. I'm pretty sure he was running south, but just got caught off. But yeah, that was just a matter of will they see him or not. And if they do, they will immediately just jump on that kill and grab it. It's not the end of the world, though. Like, as you said, he got the experience. It's a big rotation with the smoke, and it doesn't give Tundra a tower or some sort of meaningful collateral. Soxa. Trying not to be meaningful collateral. Nice time in the market.
blocked off the angles from the pounce. They made sure to layer their spells perfectly between the Jack and the Kunkka. That is a dead slug and analog. 3-0 and 6 on this Kunkka. Top of the net worth. You know, a night and day performance from what we saw earlier.
Yeah. And also night and day compared to a previous Orchid we saw in this series that, or in the previous series that didn't get used. More or less by Pakaz. This one has already found a couple of nice usages and he's going to be looking for more. Now the problem is Storm has Orchid now. Or excuse me, BKB. So he's going to be harder to Orchid. He can still kill the Slark. It's still great against the Sand King until he gets his. And of course the supports. Orchiding something like a Ringmaster can be really nice if you can find him in the fight. Still an even game in terms of golds. Keep looking at Crystallis to figure out what he's thinking. Sanjin Yasha next. He's kind of this... In a way, ironically, he's the big story of the game because we haven't seen him yet. Because everything else, we kind of know what to expect. But with the Bloodseeker not participating there.
He got vision on the Sand King. This is before the BKB is available. He did at least buy his Myth Hammer before going out, but nice smoke movement there. Analog yet again, adding to his tally, involved in 10 of his team's 13 kills. Certainly looking extremely solid on this Kunkka. And also now, they have BKB on this Bloodseeker, you know, like you said, he's building into the SNY. But they're rounding the corner and getting Butterfly on the Morphling, and they do not have the tools to deal with this anytime soon.
Yeah, that's true. He has the Shard queued up, but I think he will finish the Butterfly first. And perhaps even opt to not buy the Shard. If he's feeling confident enough that he's farmed and can stay ahead, there are other ways of building around that, of course. Storm? I thought he was thinking about something there on BZM, but not the case. Numa will find a VD, but nothing really to use it for. Probably just gonna farm with this and remove it from the enemy team.
There's no real gold lead for either of these squads, but just in terms of the balance of the game, Heroic definitely feeling extremely confident. They still have more real estate. Their heroes are getting farmier and farmier, and there's the Butterfly. The late game solution for the late game solution in the form of the Morphling now has one of the late game items, and he's queuing BKB, so perhaps he decides maybe I can finish the BKB without having to buy the shard. Let's see how the game evolves.
I kind of like that. I don't think the shard is actually even that good here. Uh-oh. Kunkka ruptured. Crystallis has joined the game, and he's running away.
Finally is here. But as soon as he shows up, he's lost the 30% life left. 90% of his team is just running away because they all are also losing life, losing mana, can't really participate. Well, at least he knows the BKB button works.
Yep. He was putting a lot of pressure onto Analog in that fight, forcing his BKB out too. And it's a trade, support for support. But Tundra weren't there in full force, so they were outnumbered. There was no Slark, and there was no Sand King, so it's effectively a 3v5, and they traded. That's pretty solid. Sox is just out looking for all the vision he can. Warding against Slark becomes a minigame in itself. I think it's one of the hardest things to do as a support player in all of Dota is to ward against Slark, regardless of what role the hero plays in the game. But especially when it's support, I think it's even harder because the Slark can allocate a minute to just hunting wards and feel good about it. He doesn't have to farm all the time. When he's core, he will, like, once in a while he'll run into a ward and get rid of it, and it is what it is. But here, he's genuinely just flat out checking everything on the map. So it's a really big challenge for any support. And there's a couple of wards on the map that have had a decent duration now from KJ. He actually, the one in the top lane stayed full duration, which is a great result, of course. Tundra get Tormentor number 2, scot-free. Shard on 33, so more damage on Epi.
While this was happening, oh, they actually zipped up through the Twin Gate. They see Schofield, but BZM, as soon as he does realize there are heroes here, doesn't want to stick around. Just wanted to take out some of these creeps. So, still chilling. And he has a BKB anyway, so not under any real threat of dying. I am concerned though, because I'm looking at the progression on the side of Tundra, right? We have BKB now, 433. How quickly do they need to try and leverage these new items of theirs before it starts to feel like we're wasting a little bit of time? I mean, Bloodseeker's top of the net worth right now. Has BKB, has Mjolnir, has the Yasha, SNY about to fly in. Wouldn't you just love to go and find more fights, get more towers, and actually expand your advantage on the map right now?
I think you don't need to rush things. The most important thing is that you're playing around vision advantage. So if Slark is getting key info, you take advantage of that, but you don't need to force anything. The dire lineup scales really well into the game.
Spur
Doesn't split.
Rupture, Blood Right. There's going to be a guaranteed death onto this Brewmaster. Nicely done, nicely set up. They stood here for a while. They were very patient about finding that kill, but Whisper eventually did oblige them for it.
Yeah, that's part of the luxury of having Slark in your lineup is you have that comfort. You feel like you know that you're not being watched. You know where the vision likely is, or at least where it isn't. And you can set the trap and spring it whenever you want. Getting a big brew kill. And you can... I think this is one of the things that's difficult to appreciate when you're an observer of this game, is the turmoil that this is for Heroic to play the map. It's actually super difficult. And eventually you get silenced.
Moving very far forward, there will be a tidal wave back. He does get saved by the escape pod. The BKB with the jump in from 33 gets countered by a BKB on the Kunkka. Although Schofield doesn't have a BKB of his own, so BZM wants to target him, but he's not dead just yet. And now Crystallis went to try and bring him down. Yule Scepter will save him. All of a sudden, Bloodseeker down to less than 10% HP. He needs to get out of here. X marks the spot, will not connect. Shout out to the BKB. Unfortunately though, Whisper with his Brew Split was able to close down Whitemon, easily kill off the Ringmaster. So Tundra, they'll be feeling happy that they got out of that situation, but man, that feels tough. You couldn't even bring down Schofield in that situation.
Yeah, Crystallis would have definitely killed him if he popped BKB earlier, but just not anticipating that stun coming out. So got caught off guard a little bit, and this is very good news for Heroic. You know they can go into the pit and get started here on this, and that's just a freebie, right? I don't think Tundra can get here in time, although they're thinking about it. BZM, does he want to be a hero? He does. He backpacked.
Oh my god. He went in for it. Unfortunately, he gets it! The Madman! Backpack BKB makes the space, he jumps in, he finds the Roshan. Oh my goodness. Alright, he really is the best zoomer there. Shout out to him, man.
He gets the Aegis, but not the banner, and not the kill. But this is still massive. Take this away from the morph. Oh, and he gets a region one too. And he jumps into an ice path. If he would have died there, that would have been the most anticlimactic Aegis of all time, but... Alright. He has that in his hands now. This is pretty big for the side of Tundra. He's going to pop the region immediately. Do they want to fight with this? It's a decently meaningful advantage to have this Aegis, but maybe you wait for BKB?
Top lane, they're actually going right directly into it. There's going to be an epicenter combination. Yuma as well as KJ. Neither of them are dead. KJ saved himself, and now the Macrofire turnaround. KJ does eventually die, but with any of these Tundra heroes escape. 33 with his BKB, he'll be fine for now. Analog getting ruptured. Blood Right, he doesn't have access to his BKB until now, but it's not going to be enough. Eventually he falls. They've lost KJ. Whisper doesn't have split for another 17 seconds. Can he still survive this fight? Impalement Arts will miss, going right by him. But BZM, in the meantime, was able to take down Schofield at long last, turning his attention towards Yuma, who waveforms away. Saxa coming back in with Crystallis. They have the vision. They want the Morphling. Blood Rat will be thrown out. The Tame the Beast fears him away. Nice dodge on the silence, but it still might not be enough. That being said, they don't have a way past this evasion synth. He's just right-clicking for all he's worth and winning, no less. All of a sudden, everybody's dead. Whisper has ultimate again. Analog had to buy back for this. They want to ensure the kill on BZM. His BKB has come back off cooldown, and he should have enough mana to zip to safety after the Aegis. Nonetheless, though, Heroic, 2 buybacks required, yes, but Morphling supplying the necessary damage for them to win the fight in the end.
Yeah, and that was into Aegis, right? So you get rid of the Aegis, and the Bloodseeker also died. And have yet to see this massive payoff just yet from Crystallis on the Bloodseeker. He got in there, and yeah, he killed the Kunkka. It cost him his entire BKB duration, and afterwards, he doesn't hold a candle to Morphling in a fist fight yet. He needs way more items before he can bridge that gap. Despite them having close net worth, the Morphling just flat out at a major advantage just by hero design. So we'll see what he does to try to combat this. He's queuing up a Dagon 5 on the Bloodseeker. I've seen this before being run as a potential carry item. this will make him strong against every other hero than the Morph. And technically, if the Morph is full-on Agi, he could also get caught off guard by the big burst. But let's see if that works out. Yuma himself working on the Daedalus, so full-on committed to this carry route. As he should, because he's carry.
What tomato catching strays? Game is hard, bro.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, today was not Shopify's best day. Find onto Saksa, but the Yule. Easy break. The combo. It's gonna go Hex next. Standard stuff.
But Parasma on BZM as well. He's realizing that we need to increase the damage output for the team. So this will help in tandem with the Shiva's God coming later. But by the time that happens, you're probably going to be looking at a much smaller map. They're losing the tier 2 tower middle. I can't imagine that Whisper is sitting bottom, pushing out this wave just for funsies. So I imagine they're going to keep this pressure going onto the mid and bottom lane as long as they can.
I think there's some internal monologue happening for BZM right now. It's like, okay, my carry isn't dealing damage, so I'm buying Parasma, so I can carry. Eventually, it's always funny. Bloodseeker's always a fun hero to make fun of because it's so polarizing, and then out of nowhere, suddenly it wipes a team fight and just looks like the most broken hero in the entire game. But until that point, I don't know, man. And this hero looks like a liability so often, but then once in a while, you just get one over, you know?
Sort of like Queen of Pain in that regard, man.
Yeah, I mean, it just... Bloodseeker is just way more polarizing than Alright, Yuma's going to town here. He has the shield rune. He'll get half a tower and a glyph. Very nice. Backstab from Saksa. Finding King Jungles. Trying to just cut the wave and stop the push. And we'll be successful at that. See if he can get out too. Looks like a yes.
TP out as well with Storm Spirit. Making sure that he's not caught out. So nicely done. You lose tier 2 towers, yeah, but tier 3 is still alive. Now the big question is, what are you going to do about the next Roshan? I imagine Heroic are going to go out of to make sure that the high ground is as covered as possible before going for another Aegis so that they don't have it stolen once more.
I mean, last time was also just a godlike play from BZM, right? You can only protect yourself so much from a storm just finding the right timing and going in there. But yeah, they will definitely want to try to ward the best they can. Here against Slark Storm, though, it's always going to be hard to get it for free. If they want to contest, they will be able to. And not only that, Sox even has the Ninja Gear, which is like literally the god tier item on Slark support. Move around even less noticed.
They just pick up a very big item. Sand King got the Shivas, so that's going to be quite nice. In particular, several times they've jumped in but not been able to get vision onto everybody at once. But with the Shivas, that makes it a lot easier. Saksa, okay. Playing around with them, just scouting where the wards are, telling his team, alright guys, careful of this area, don't play here.
Yep. Now, Heroic also have found some decent items. So Jakiro has the Blink Yules. You're caught by Taunt, but he will get out. But the bigger one is KJ is 200 away from Ags on the Shadow Demon. That owns Bloodseeker. Nice find. They didn't get killed
here, but amazing jump in from 33. Burrow Strike AP. They eliminate Schofield and KJ almost immediately. Analog with his BKB set to expire. He knows his life is not long for this world. Trying to TP home to safety. Barely makes it, but makes it he does. But for Tundra, 2 kills very, very quickly. Man, that just came out of nowhere. What a long-range zip and a long-range jump as well coming in from the Sand King.
Yeah, they didn't have enough burst to kill BZM there without the morph, so he tanked through all of the stuns, and then they went for the counterplay. He didn't even pop his BKB at the end of all of that on Storm. He didn't have to. Tundra taking advantage of... Heroic's hero composition does not burst anyone without morph. That's the hero that kills their core. So if he's not there, they can kind of, what usually would feel like an overextension, they can go for those plays and just find an immediate burst with their Sand King getting off a massive wombo there. And it's, yeah, the Shadow Demon dying is kind of big. It delays the X once more. Crystals.
I'm gonna force a BKB out of him. He's tanking this stuff for now. White one is nearby, can escape out if need be, and there we go. X mark forces the BKB, so now we are down to 6 seconds on the Bloodseeker.
Yes, This hero rework has been interesting with the Shard and Scepter change. Everybody used to buy the Scepter for the overheal on Sangrewar, but now that it's on the Shard and the numbers have been tweaked, I wonder if this, when and why, this is better or worse than before. It's not something I've looked at in very much detail because this hero hasn't been popular, and the fact that he's been picked so little makes me think that this is just a worse version significantly. 33 trying to get out on it.
He's actually just dead. Very nice. Okay. Quick kill. He BKB'd. He had 1 second away from being able to Burrow Strike Blink, but they caught him just as he was trying to go through the Twin Gate as his BKB expired. What can you do?
Well, they could get the Tormentor off of this if they wanted to, but they don't know for a fact where Tundra's heroes are, so gating here is kind of dangerous for Yuma. It's also the third Tormentor can be a big, massive bait sometimes, so might be doing the right thing by not going there. There's the Axe for King Jungles. So looking to stagger these demonic purges on the Bloodseeker. That'll be 10 seconds of purge. And of course also double purge against the box. So even if Whitemon outlasts the first one, he can still guarantee that the box doesn't come through.
Definitely feeling a lot better about themselves on Heroic. Obviously, the gold lead is still climbing somewhat for Tundra, but they just have more heroes to collect all this farm. For the Kunkka, for the Brewmaster, they probably don't feel like they have to get that much more farm to be effective in the game. The big riser is going to be Yuma on his Morphling, and he's still at the top of the net worth. Here they go to try and take this Tormy, and no Tundra heroes in sight. They're not even near the Twin Gate, so this should just be a free Tormy.
Yeah, they're just getting it instantly. The main concern I have for Heroic at this point is how big of a percentage of their damage comes from Morph in the late game. Because you're looking at a Tundra lineup where Storm is going to do a lot of damage, Bloodseeker is going to do a lot of damage, Sand King is also going to do a ton of damage. He almost has Refresher now on 33. He's going to be big. On your team, Brew offers a lot of control, but the damage is kind of negligible, and Kunkka is similar, right? He's got Orchid, Hex. So yes, you have the control, but who is killing people? Are we going to run into, arguably, our fourth game in a row today, you and I cast, where damage issues become quite prevalent for which team just suddenly wins? I will never say that Morph cannot win a late game with the burst that it has, but you're usually also relying on a little bit more from your other two cores in terms of output than just this.
Okay, well,
we'll see. There's the jump BZM.
Okay.
25, by the way.
BKB popped in by him. Tidal Wave. They tidal him into the Ice Path. BZM does get saved by the Ringmaster, though. Does get dispelled. But where is the Morphling? We need the Water Boy. He's still on the high ground. So without him, they don't have this necessary damage. There's going to be 33 going in. Gets the big Shivas out with the Burrow Strike. At the same time, they've been wiping two heroes. They now focus onto Yuma, but they leave him alone to go onto Schofield on the east instead. Schofield dies. Whisper is forced into the ultimate. Wants to solo kill 33, but on the high ground, there's not enough burn damage. There's no way he can do it. Already down to the Earth Panda. Can he get it out of here? 10 seconds. It's a very, very long time. And even when that time expires, his life should be forfeit almost immediately afterwards. Let's see what they've got here. Whisper. Can he do it? No, he cannot. He's gonna go down. Gonna be a 4-0.
The suspense. If you had a blink, maybe there was some cute way out of that in some world. Literally just counting down to his death. And well, they get 4 heroes. That was the first truly resounding win in a team fight for Tundra in this game. This wasn't the first fight they won, but it was a 4-0. The slam dunk hit a beautiful engagement there from 33. And a lot of what happens from Tundra in this game is spawned off of BZM just poking. He's just jumping in, getting vision, forcing a BKB here, forcing a Hex there, and he still feels safe. He just got boxed up when they tried to go for him, he got out. Maybe with a Demonic Purge on him there, that could have got interesting, but KJ was not in range, or he's reserving it for the Bloodseeker. And that time around, that was not the solution to the problem. So, yeah, Tundra, massive win. 4 heroes, Roche with Aegis and Cheese, completely back in the driver's seat now.
It's actually perfect when the fight happened because like 90 seconds before you were like, what's the late game damage situation look like for Heroic? Well, there's your answer. Yuma was basically kept out of the fight and they could not kill a single person. Like how close the Storm came to dying. If Yuma was there, perhaps it could happen. You take away that life of the Storm, you know, turn the fight. But yeah, the way things are looking, Yuma Might need a blink dagger. Yeah, he queued it. He queued it as we're speaking. Swift blink queued for the Morphling. He understands the assignment.
Yeah, but if this comes at the expense of Satanic, the question is if you can stick. But it's a tough choice you have to make here. If you get the blink and you get that opportunity to position yourself better, we are maybe reaching the point now where Bloodseeker can kind of stand up to you. Oh, that's a very dead Schofield, but we're used to that in some random place in the side lane. Just a little bit. Saksa trying to be cute here and get the Shrine of Wisdom, but it was covered. Still, he will get another D ward, and now the map is completely dark for Heroic, except one singular ward in the bottom half. It's not like Tundra have a lot of vision out on the map either. The difference is they don't really need it because they have Slark. So he will just be running around as a mobile ward non-stop, looking for moments of opportunity.
You know, it's actually kind of a bad thing now. Normally, I'm fine with Schofield deaths, but he's queuing up into having an Aghanim Scepter for the Jakiro. And I do feel, you were mentioning the lack of damage from everybody outside of Morph. If they had a BKB piercing Macropyre, and that's all, obviously you'll need to get later for that one, but if they actually had bigger damage, that could have been a very different situation in that last engagement. So the more he keeps dying, the further away we'll be from having that item. And speaking of deaths, Analog, he might be dead here. 33 comes onto him, finds the right angle, and secures the kill. He's dead in a blink of an eye, and Yuma, he might be next. Forced to stand his ground. Force pops his BKB, goes right back into the fight, but the Aghanim shot makes sure that they get out. The nice escape back. They can't stay within the Macropyre. Good job from Whitemon. Whisper now does get off his ultimate, but Tundra already long gone. They got what they wanted. Free kill on Kunkka. Now they can just get back. Maybe they're faking back here, Sin.
Yeah, there's no split and there's no Kunkka, so perhaps you can squeeze. Oh, that's a good job. Oh my god. Well, that's Dagon. That's Dagon 5, baby.
Dagon 5 revealed by the Bloodseeker. Crystalis now net worth leader in the game. They're actually losing the life of BZM. You almost died there, but
he has Aegis.
Does not.
He wants to die.
Has an Aegis available. They go back onto the Morphling. They baited him in, and he had too much damage, so not enough HP. He ends up going down. Next to 4 will be KJ, and as Whisper's caught outside of the base, Saksa on his back like a bad rash, making sure that he goes down. Whitemon with his newly picked up Gleipnir gets a triple kill, and Sin, I think they've just gotten themselves the series.
Yeah, this is the bare minimum 2 lanes. There's no way in hell Heroic fight without their Morphling. So the question is if Tundra have the right read that that buyback isn't available. If they think it's available and Heroic can maybe mount a defense, perhaps they'll take it slow, but they're gonna poke here and try to buy themselves some information, perhaps with 1 life if even necessary. But, well, there's no buybacks coming out, so this looks quite healthy for them for the time being. And they will continue destroying these. Okay, BZM, that's cute. Well, that's his Aegis. He has BKB on respawn now.
BKB on respawn, he should be fine. Oh, wait.
He will get boxed.
We've got the escape bot. KJ is dead, so there's no dispel. So now the BKB is out. He's cool. The entire time his team has just been removing the tier 4 towers. We still have 30 seconds, no more. 45, no Brewmaster. Yeah, this game is over. Absolutely. Let's see what they try, though, for the last fight. Analog going forward, BKB active, but it's about to finish. And as he gets ruptured, he's forced back into the fountain.
Nice.
Here comes BZM, yet another blue hole. Sets them all up for the Wheel of Wonder. Everybody's dying. KJ finally got enough gold to buy back. They also buy back on Whisper and Schofield. But can they find any kills? Big Macropyre dropped down by Skull, but he's inside a Blood Drive. They're actually TPing out with these heroes. As Morphling has now finally returned into the game. You know, Tundra maybe will be thinking we probably could have got Megas out of it, but the way the game is looking, they could even take a fight. Actually, 33 channeling the Epi. He wants to go back in, eliminates the Storm Pandas. Doesn't jump high ground just yet. I think the team is fine to retreat for now, reset, and then come back to end the game.
Yeah, another refresher now purchased up by BZM. So now they have 2 of them. They have one on the Sand King and one on the Storm. And if he finds any good Vortex, he can just chain it into a secondary Vortex and keep them there for 4 seconds while everybody else just deals out the damage. Let's see if he gets to use it though. 33.
We're going on to the support of KJ. He's gone already. Yuma feeling very isolated here. Had to get back. Has the BKB active, but no longer are you the Superman, my friend. You have to retreat. Schofield now on the wrong side of the fight by some miracle. He's going to get dragged into his death. Neither of these supports having access to buyback.
Yeah, so here Yeah, you just straight onto the throne again. Let's see what Heroic are going to do this time when they don't have the buybacks and the more PK. Pete?
One more Wheel of Wonder, one more Epicenter. There's one more blue hole coming in from BZM. It should be able to get at least one kill. Yuma, though, barely able to get back thanks to the strength morph, but it does not matter. The Ancient will fall. GG is called. And Emperor Cinderin, you were asking at the beginning, how do